Livnot U'Lehibanot presents a revealing impact report. We are often asked, does Livnot make a difference? Does it make a difference in developing an enduring Jewish identity among North American young adults? So in August of 2017, Livnot decided to find out by conducting a program impact study, a survey of former Livnot participants to find out the answer if their experience did result in making a difference in their lives. Today we're going to present some highlights of what we learned from that study. First, a bit about the survey itself. 643 Livnot alumni. These are participants from years 2000 to 2016 were asked a series of questions. The participants were aged 21 to 30 at the time of their participation. 82% of the people surveyed had participated in either a 1-week or a 2-week program. What was asked? Well, there were questions about changes in attitudes and behaviors before and after they participated in key areas of Jewish life, such as Jewish community involvement, Shabbat, religious involvement, their connections to Israel and the Jewish people, their attitudes about children's education, for example. And who did the asking? The survey was designed and conducted by a respected independent research consulting firm. We're going to present 10 highlighted questions that we think will give you a good overview of what the results were from our study. Are Livnot alumni more or less likely to provide their children with a Jewish education? In 2015, the Pew Research Company asked 907 American Jews this question: do you provide your children with a Jewish education of some sort? Well, the response came back with a split jury. Yes, 50%, no, 50%. In other words, half of American Jewish families that have school-aged children in their home provide them with some form of Jewish education. In our survey, we asked 171 former participants the same question. These were participants that had school-aged children in their home. And by comparison, 78% responded yes when asked if they provided their children with a Jewish education. Now, what does that mean? Well, Jewish education included a rather broad range. 31% of those sent their children, for example, to a Jewish preschool. There was synagogue religious school included, Jewish day school. Others, such as Tat Shabbat at the synagogue, sending a child to school in Israel, Jewish daycare, for example. But you can see the difference. So, the first question, does Livnot make a difference in passing on Jewish heritage and culture from one generation to the next? The answer clearly is yes, it certainly does. Second question, does Livnot make a difference when it comes to participation in Jewish life? Livnot asked 550 former participants this question: do you participate in Jewish community events and activities? And we asked also if the level of their participation before Livnot and after Livnot. And here are the results. 18% responded that yes, they did participate in events and activities before they were involved with Livnot. And after Livnot, that rose to 43%. We also asked the following question: do you participate in Jewish holiday events and activities? Okay, before their participation in Livnot, the response was 21% yes. On the other hand, after Livnot, that doubled to 42%. Taking a look at a third component of this question, we asked 550 former participants, do you participate in some form of Jewish study or learning? Before Livnot, 17% responded that they were involved in Jewish education, adult education. After Livnot, that rose to 33%. So the question measured participation in these levels of key aspects of Jewish life. The results, as you can see, in almost all cases, represented a doubling effect. This included community events, holiday activities, and in the field of study and learning. So, the answer to our second question, does Livnot make a difference in the level of participation in Jewish life? Clearly, the answer is yes. It doubles it. Third question, does Livnot make a difference when it comes to observing Shabbat? Livnot asked 554 former participants, how often do you or did you observe Shabbat? The question referred to their level of observance before Livnot and after. Before Livnot, participants responded that they observed Shabbat more than once a month, weekly or at least once a month. 48%, almost half, less than once a month. And 18% responded that they never observed Shabbat. Now, what about after their Livnot experience? Yes, the number of greater than once a month, 57%, a majority, participated in Shabbat after their Livnot experience, at least once a month or more often than that. The number for less than once a month declined to 36%, and the never number went down to 7%. So by this metric, we can see that the answer to our question, does Livnot make a difference in the level of Shabbat observance? Yes, significantly. Let's take a look at the fourth question. Does Livnot make a difference in how Shabbat is observed? Livnot asked 550 former participants, which of these Shabbat rituals did you observe before participating in Livnot, and which ones after? These are ritual observances, the manner in which Jews typically celebrate the Shabbat. For example, lighting candles. 25% said they did so before undergoing the Livnot experience. That rose to 43% afterwards. Making Kiddush, blessing the wine, 27% before, compared to 41% after. Engaging in a regular Shabbat meal on Friday night, 32% said they did so regularly. That rose to 46% afterwards. Attending services at the synagogue went from an 18% before to a 38% after. Declining to use technology, turning off the smartphone, turning off the TV. That was 10% before. Afterwards, that rose to 31%. And finally, becoming Shomer Shabbos, and that is strictly observing all of the mitzvot associated with the Shabbos. Only 6% were Shomer Shabbos. Coming into the program, that number rose to 24% afterwards. So the indication is clear. The answer to our fourth question, does Livnot make a difference in how Shabbat is observed? The answer, dramatically. Our fifth question, does Livnot make a difference when it comes to volunteering? We asked 550 former participants, did you regularly volunteer on behalf of Jewish and non-Jewish organizations before your Livnot experience? What about now? Do you do so now, after your Livnot experience? Let's take a look at before Livnot. The first bar represents the percentage that said that they did volunteer work in behalf of Jewish organizations. That's 7%. That same group responded that they did volunteer work on behalf of non-Jewish organizations, nonprofits, at the rate of 15%. Now let's see what impact Livnot had on these numbers. Afterwards, those who reported volunteering for Jewish nonprofit volunteer work rose from 7% up to 19%, and working for non-Jewish declined marginally from 15 to 14%. So, what is our conclusion? Does Livnot make a difference in the level of volunteerism? The answer? Yes. It increases the level of Jewish volunteerism without affecting the level of non-Jewish volunteerism. The sixth question. Does Livnot make a difference when it comes to donating to Jewish causes? We asked 550 former participants before Livnot, did you donate at least once per month to a Jewish nonprofit organization, either in Israel or not in Israel? And what about after Livnot? Let's look first at Jewish nonprofits located not in Israel, typically in the U.S. or Canada. 2% responded yes, that they donated to nonprofits, Jewish nonprofits. 10% reported after their Livnot experience, that they donated to domestic Jewish non-for-profits. What about Jewish nonprofits in Israel? Only 1% of those surveyed prior to their Livnot experience reported that they donated to Israeli charitable organizations. That number rose dramatically to 9% after their Livnot experience. So what is the answer? Does Livnot make a difference in the level of Jewish philanthropy? The answer? Yes. It increases that level exponentially. The seventh question. Does Livnot make a difference when it comes to attitudes about intermarriage? We asked the former participants, before Livnot, did you believe that Jews ought to marry only Jews? And what about after Livnot? Did these attitudes change? Let's have a look. Before their Livnot experience, 39% responded that yes, Jews ought to marry only other Jews. What about after their Livnot experience? That number rose from 39 to 52%. So the answer to our seventh question, does Livnot make a difference in combating the loss of Jewish identity through assimilation? Yes. Yes, it succeeds in reducing the rate of interfaith marriage. Our eighth question, does Livnot make a difference when it comes to attitudes about belonging to the Jewish people? Livnot asked 582 former participants, before Livnot, did you feel a strong connection to the Jewish people? And what about after Livnot? Did that change? We also compared these results to an independent Pew survey conducted in 2013. Let's see the results. Before Livnot, 78% reported that they felt a strong connection to the Jewish people, and that number pretty much matched the result generated by the Pew survey of the Jewish population, general Jewish population in America. What about after Livnot? Well, after their Livnot experience, almost 100% reported a strong connection to the Jewish people. The answer to our eighth question, does Livnot make a difference in building a strong connection to the Jewish people? Yes, it raises the level from the national average to a nearly unanimous yes. Our ninth question, does Livnot make a difference when it comes to attitudes about the U.S.-Israel relationship? We asked the former participants, before Livnot, did you believe that Israel is critical in sustaining Jewish life in America? What about after Livnot? The results were clear. Before Livnot, 46% of those participants reported that they felt that Israel was very important in sustaining Jewish life in America. After Livnot, that result changed from 46% to 71%. So the response, does Livnot make a difference in building a strong connection to Israel? Yes, dramatically. And finally, the 10th question. Does Livnot make a difference when it comes to visiting Israel? Livnot asked 391 former participants who had returned to Israel after their experience, how long was your longest post-Livnot stay in Israel? The results were interesting. 39% responded that they stayed up to 2 weeks in Israel. 14% responded that their stay lasted between 2 weeks and a month. 9% said that they stayed between 1 and 2 months in Israel. 6% said that they stayed between 2 and 3 months. But a very impressive 33%, a full one-third, reported that their stay in Israel was for at least 3 months and longer. So the response to our 10th question, does Livnot make a difference in generating extended visits to Israel? An emphatic yes. Fully one-third of Livnot alumni returned to Israel for a 3-month stay or longer. In conclusion, the independently and objectively obtained data presented here is but a sampling. You are invited to review the entire program impact study at our website at livnot.org. These findings provide a demonstrable validation and verification of the fact that, yes, Livnot does make a difference in the development of an enduring Jewish identity among young North Americans at a highly critical and determining point in their lives. On behalf of Livnot U'Lehibanot, we thank you for your interest and your support.